Release the Kraken!
Good evening, fellow game designers. Ron here at Lame Duck Studios, and we are back in our Endless Runner tutorial. So we have a request from Saeed Baluch, who is asking about how to create a live system, among a few other things. So it's been a while since we've been inside of our runner tutorial. I've been working on other projects, sorry about that. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Today we'll just tackle the live system. That's actually pretty easy. So here's our old setup. Sorry if I sound like I'm kind of slurring my speech. I had my teeth done, and I have all this new room between my teeth, so I feel like it's weird. Anyway, so this is the game, and kind of where we left off. And at current, we can hit next to go to the next level if we complete it. No next level is here, but we do have a coins and kind of that stuff set up. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. To save our lives, or to track lives, or anything between one level to the next, we want to have something that's persistent within the game. And the only object that is actually persistent is our game instance. So we don't actually have one. We're going to go ahead and create one. So I'm going to come over to my blueprints here. Go to my system. And then here, I'm going to go ahead and right click blueprint class. I'm going to come down to where it says all classes, hit the little drop down. I'm going to type in game instance. Game instance. I'm going to grab the game instance class. Now every game actually has a game instance already built in, so you can use the default class, but I'm going to go ahead and just use this one. I'm going to call this runner game instance. Go ahead and open that up. Now anything you want to be stored across levels should be stored on your game instance. I'm going to go over to variables. I'm going to call this lives. Change this to an integer, just because we'll never have a half-life. Compile that. Now we want to add our game instance to our project settings. So come up to Edit, Project Settings. Go to Maps and Modes. And then scroll down to the very, very bottom, and you'll see an option for game instance. And in here, I'm going to add my game instance class. So runner game instance. And that's pretty much it. So anytime we talk to this variable, it'll be on this object. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now I'm going to go to the level blueprint. So I'm going to go ahead and open up blueprints here. Open level blueprint. Now we can really calculate this anywhere, but since we already have it on the level blueprint that we can die, I'm just going to do that here. So right here we have our death trigger. And the moment we hit our death trigger, it casts to our player and gets input and stops us from moving, and then prompts the screen to do a reset and whatnot. So here, I'm going to cast to our game instance. So cast to runner game instance. There we go. Now it wants to know what kind of object, and this is a game instance. So I'm going to do get game instance. And then off of here, we can do our lives. So I'll say get lives. And then set lives. So set lives. Okay, go ahead and make some space here. So I'm going to pass that in. Get my set lives to go here. And then we're going to set our lives to -1. And actually, instead of, and we could do this -1 and then do an integer. And that's perfectly fine, that would work. But it's actually cheaper to just do a decrement. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Take this up, do minus, we'll do decrement So this just means to subtract 1 from this. Compile it. And let's put the lives on the screen. Close that. Come down to our runner game widget. So we have our coins. Let's go ahead and drag in a new text. Call that lives. Just to keep it pretty, this is 324. 324, okay. And I'll get this. $428. 428. This is going to be our lives count. I never did name these, so I call this coin text lives text. Okay, so I'm going to take my lives count, go to bind. So right next to text, we're going to go to bind here, create binding. We want to get a reference to our game instance. So once again, we're going to cast to the game instance. Cast to runner game instance. Get our game instance. So get and then a reference to our lives. So get lives. Plug that in. Compile it. So now when I hit play, my lives are there. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a certain number of lives. Let's open up our game instance. Choose my lives. Let's give it a default count of 3. Play. And now if I wander off, oh no, boop, I lose a life. I can restart the level. And I start with my old lives count. Fall off again. Dink. Restart. Hey, pretty simple. Now what if we wanted to, I don't know, at some point reset the game from a new game? So we can just go ahead and do that. Let's go into our game widget for game over. Inside of our game over, we have this where it says restart level. Go ahead and duplicate this. Duplicate. And this one, I'm going to put the text in here. This will be new game. I'm going to come over to the end, on clicked, and whenever we click this one, oh, we actually didn't rename the thing. Let's go back. This is going to be new game. There we go. Make sure we name the variable type. Go back to graph. So whenever I have new game, we're going to open level. So open level. And this will just be level 1. Just double check my level name. So level 1. Now this is going to pop up only when our condition for our lives is met to 0. Now you can have this prompt, you can have a game instance check if it's a new game, and then have it check if our lives are empty, and then either of those cases. For this, I'm going to have this set to hidden. I'm going to come down to visibility, change this to hidden. And then I'm going to place this right over top the other one. Make sure it's centered. Pretty good. Check my anchors. Alright, so that should be centered up right about the same spot. Go into the graph here. And then we're going to do on construct. We could run it off a tick, but since our widget is created every time, we'll just do on event construct. So the moment it is born, it's going to check this, and it won't run as much every time. So I'm going to pass this out. I'm going to do set visibility. I'm going to grab my restart button. And I'll grab my new game button. And for the order of my brain, I'm going to put new game first. Make some room. We're going to need a branch. So branch. And this branch is going to be our lives count. So I'm going to have to get a reference to that. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way. So cast 2. Runner game instance. Once again, get our game instance. So get game instance. And if you don't like doing this every time, you can get this once, pass it to a variable, and just grab the variable off of here. So you can do right-click, promote to variable, and then every time you ever need a reference to this, it'll always be a variable, and you just pull it in. Anyway, so off of that, we're going to do get lives. And we'll say if lives are greater than 0, so if lives are greater than 0, we want so restart level will be visible, and this one will be hidden. If it's the other way around, if our lives are less than or equal to 0, which is the only other possibility, right? So if it's greater than 0, it's anything bigger than 0. If it's not greater than 0, then it has to be 0 or less. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. We will say set lives. We really could do this inside of the game instance. I'm just going to do this here. I'm going to set this equal to 0. That way it doesn't ever go below. It does need a reference to our game instance. Make sure you plug that in. And then on this one, we'll do that one. So the reset button will be hidden, and then the new game will be visible. Let's test that out. So my lives are greater than 0. Restart. Boom, restart. And now I'm at new game. Boop. And then once we hit new game, we should set our lives back. So let's go back to here. Come down to our on-click new game. And on here, again, we're going to call this so we'll get this. I'll grab the setter, Control W. We'll do our set. And I'm actually going to create a new variable inside of our game instance. Let's go to there. This will be an integer type. We'll call this default life count, so or default lives. So default lives, I'll have that as, 3 whenever you start. That way we don't have a magic number being set anywhere. We'll just get it off of here. So get default lives. Pass that in. So same deal. Then jump off. Restart. Restart. And new game. We start over again. And there you have it. That is a quick and dirty way of setting up a life counting system. The next one, we will explore doing save states. But until then, and if you like the kind of content that I'm creating, be sure and hit the like button and subscribe. I release videos every Wednesday and Sunday. Wednesdays are the public release to YouTube, and Sundays are the Patreon early releases. So my Patreon supporters get everything about a month early. So if you'd like to have early access to content, or have more of a say in what kind of content I create, please consider supporting the channel. It really helps me out. I also have merch if you're interested in that sort of thing. Lame Duck Studios, hoodies, t-shirts, and more. You can see the links in the description below. Stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you then.